One of the agencies which tracks consumption at retail and very closely, Bizom, is joining us on the show. Akshay, who's the Chief Growth Officer of Bizom, is here with us. Akshay, first of all, am I pronouncing the name of the company right? Please correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, Bizom is right. Business on the move is what we call ourselves. Yes, Bizom.
Right. So do tell us, your preliminary observations say that the rural side of the economy is actually buzzing very well in terms of categories of consumption. Talk to us, what's the size of your data collection, and also which are the categories which are really buzzing most and are seeing good offtake?
Sure. So thanks for having me on the show. So in pandemic 2.0, in this version of the pandemic, I think we've seen both urban and rural had got affected severely this time. Now, urban has gone through the first cycle last year, but this time rural had an effect which they didn't have last time. So if you look at the whole of last year, rural kind of powered that whole FMCG growth. But this time, when you actually saw the impact, rural actually extended for a month longer than urban in terms of the recovery. So while April, May were months where the entire FMCG was taking a hit, June is when urban started rebounding a little bit faster than rural. But in July, we are seeing rural completely outpace urban. So we're seeing almost a 24% growth in rural at the moment, whereas urban growth is now at about 14%. The good news is that both are growing, and it's both urban and rural growing. Now, interestingly, one of the things that we've seen in this wave is that the FMCG industry has rebounded completely in one quarter, and that is great news for the industry, because unlike last time, where it took about 2 quarters for the industry to at least get on its feet across most categories, this time it's taken just half of that. Which means we have learned our lessons from the wave one over there. And now from a category consumption, initially when the wave hit us, pandemic 2.0 hit us, we saw that discretionary categories took a big hit in the beginning. So your personal care, your confectionery, all of that took a big hit. All of these started rebounding, but especially in rural, we are now seeing a strong rebound also from a commodity and staple standpoint, which is essentially the need category that is key to the rural consumer. That is showing a great rebound. It's also important to understand here that commodity prices have been on the going up for a while now, for the last year or so, and there was a certain bit of apprehension in the last 2 or 3 months. And I think in July, if you look at those numbers, those apprehensions seem to be addressed, and I think consumers starting to buy again, though not at the kind of levels that they used to, but they're buying very, very strong there. So across categories, we are seeing good growth happening even in July.
Akshay, actually, though it comes as a pleasant surprise, the data point and the insight that you're sharing, it is a bit confusing too, because just till some time back, we were hearing all sorts of negative news flow coming out of rural and agri-based side of our country on job losses, etc. Has that situation got contained? Is it reversing, or is it better agri pricing giving more money in the hands of the rural population, and hence the consumption is coming back? Talk to us about the trigger which is getting this consumption thing going.
Sure. So one of the things that you will actually see that essentially affected rural in this wave was that a lot of frontline workers, either you look at brand manufacturer end or even the distributor end of the business was affected. Now, to reach India's rural, and Kirana estimates go up to about 15 million in India, you need that manpower to be in full force, right? And that got affected in the early months, and that is typically April, May, some part of June also. So one is that has come back in full force now, almost there at the higher levels. Kiranas, which is the mainstay of the industry, at the peak, we had seen a drop of almost about 30% of Kiranas having shut down for some time because of the impact of the wave. That has now almost back to peak levels. They're probably the second highest it's been in this 2021 that we've seen in July. So Kirana is definitely the one fueling that growth. Two is the rural consumer in this way. One of the things that they did from a consumption standpoint is they did a lot of down trading. So they had gone in the early stage in April, May to the low value packs across categories, right? And this is also to say that they were also saving for an exigency, or if they've had an issue in their families, they were kind of saving up on that money. But what a lot of government welfare schemes also have kind of put decent money in the pocket, and that is kind of also helping to get this rebound back quicker than usual. So we are now seeing not just markets opening across the rural industry hinterland. We're also seeing people back in full force. We're also seeing a key strategy also a lot of manufacturing companies follow today is that traditionally they left rural distribution to wholesaling. It was not direct distribution. But
Right.
when wave one hit us, a lot of them started putting out rural distribution, direct distribution, where they're putting up their own networks to kind of drive that. And that impact we're now starting to see in what is happening in rural.
Very quickly, Akshay, just 30-second answer. How are rural consumers preparing for the upcoming festive season? Do you expect it to be a very buzzing festive season?
Oh, absolutely. I think all indications point to a very, very strong festival season. If you remember last year, the uptick was very strong, and I think it's going to be stronger than last year for sure this time. And all indicators, right from discretionary categories of confectionery and even personal care, are pointing to the very, very strong season. Even packaged foods, for example, we're seeing a lot of new launches happening around this time. And you will see that driving that excitement and consumer offers for a strong offtake coming up in Diwali. Yeah. So very strong festive season can be expected.
All right, Akshay, all of us look forward to that wonderful festive season. We will be touching base once again around that. Thanks so much for your time today. In
Thanks
fact, with that, completely out of time on this edition of the newsroom. Thanks very much for watching. Goodbye.